That's their tagline. Leagues Cup. Why?
Welcome to amorephillyunion, the podcast where we swear to talk about the Philly Union, the whole Philly Union, and nothing but the Philly Union, with as few digressions as possible. We are the hosts. I'm Paul.
I'm C.
And I'm E.
Some housekeeping for us this week. For our Help Us, Help the You challenge, we're up to 403 downloads. Thank you, everybody who's been checking us out. We picked up 16 this week. And again, just a reminder, the Help Us, Help the You challenge is as soon as we can get the 1,000 downloads, we'll make a donation to the Union Foundation. And the earlier we get to 1,000 in the season, the more money we will dedicate or will donate. So every month we beat before the end of the season, we'll donate an extra $100.
I realized that yesterday, or the day before, that the original idea behind the challenge was to hit those 1,000 downloads before we got to 50 episodes. And in my mind now, I've completely just written off the 50 episodes. Like, let's get to that 1,000. Let's do it.
Well, I mean, I think with the current download rate, we're probably going to beat that because this is what, episode 15, 16, 17, something like that?
17. Yeah.
17. So, yeah, I think we're safe to. I think we'll probably beat the 50 episode 50, but it would be fun to get that 1,000 early. It would be fun. So spread the word. Hopefully you're enjoying this. Hopefully, our downloads are multiple downloads from same people. Eric, where's the most recent downloads from?
Well, we do have new listeners from North Carolina. So welcome, North Carolina. I feel like we're trying to, collect all the states. So we have a good number. I should tally up how many we have so far, but surprisingly a lot of silence from the actual Midwest. We haven't really
not a lot of penetration out there,
I guess. Just given the distribution of family, slight disappointment there's not more downloads from the Midwest, but that's okay. We know people are busy. That's all right. We get it. And you're not from Philly. But
guilt works well with your family, so we can start turning the screws.
It's okay. I understand. You can't listen. It's okay. I just appreciate you just even looking at us on the Google feed.
I can almost hear Mom right now.
He's really good at it, isn't he?
All right. So North Carolina and how's the race between California and Virginia? Is that still happening, or is that?
Let's take a look. I know California's been a little quiet of late as well. So did that give Virginia? I'm pulling it up here. Did that give Virginia
the edge,
the room they needed to jump into the lead here? Pulling up statistics, which is I spend probably a lot of time on the statistics page. This month. No, wait, stand by. We don't want to. Yeah, this month, Virginia has taken the lead. Actually, California is not even showing up yet this month.
Wow.
Of course, Pennsylvania is for our most listeners. Virginia is in second. Jersey is a close third, followed by Massachusetts.
All right, very cool.
I don't know. It's fun. So thanks for everyone for listening in. At least it gives me, I get to look at colorful maps of the U.S. and the world. It's kind of funny to think that worldwide, the United Kingdom is our third most or fourth most listening demographic. So thank you, England, or United Kingdom.
The birthplace of soccer or football or whatever you want us to call it. So getting into the game from this past weekend, the Union took their 9-game unbeaten streak out to the West Coast to take on San Jose. Going into the game, the Union were in third in the East. San Jose was fifth in the West. And unfortunately, that ended the Union streak.
Yeah, they took the streak out west and left it there.
Baggage claim, somebody lost it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, getting the double digits would have been nice, but we knew it was going to be a tough game. Our predictions, yeah, we were hopeful. What was it? How did you put it, Christy, last week? Have we totally bought into the overconfidence or something like that?
I believe it was the cruising altitude of overconfidence.
Yep.
Yeah. So, San Jose reminded us that there are other good teams in this league, and the Union are going to run into them from time to time, and we're also going to run into the best version of other teams because when the Union are doing well, the other teams roll out their best players. They play up to that.
Yeah, and San Jose was defending their unbeaten home streak as well.
Yeah.
So trying to extend it, and they did.
Yep. So the Union rolled out their 3-5-2, 5-3-2, whatever you want to call it.
5-6-7 Slamil.
They rolled out Damian Lowe, Glesnes, and Elliott in the back. They did have Wagner, and they had Harriel outright
on the wings.
And then in the midfield, they had Bueno and Flock and Gazdag. And up top, they had Carranza and Ura. We knew that Martinez wasn't going to be there because of yellow card accumulation, so that made sense for them to put Bueno in. Was a little curious to see what they would do since McGlynn was back from the World Cup, and I wasn't sure if they were going to stick with the 3-5-2 or run out a 4-4-2. Obviously, without Martinez there, the 4-4-2 gets a little bit more dicey.
Yeah, I definitely felt his absence on the field.
Yeah, I mean, and main stories of this game, it really felt like, San Jose was playing a good game. They were very active in their midfield. They transitioned well. They got the ball out wide. They had very, very potent attack out wide. You could see that all game long. But I think for me, it was Danielle's performance in net that really just capped this game for San Jose. And once again proves that, if you run into a keeper playing hot, I mean, a hot keeper can win you games as a team.
He is new to the team as of this year, and he was doing a great job. He really was.
Yeah. Well, he played very well. I mean, it helped that San Jose got the first goal pretty darn fast. What was it, the 6th or 7th or 8th minute? Bobasi, there's a break on the run. The Union defense tracks back, slows down. I think that was Cade Cowell out left. And Glesnes and Harriel start pressuring him, and he makes a cutback play, finds a Bobasi just outside the box. And you can actually, I've watched the replay a few times now, like you can see Elliott recognize that he's tracked too far back, and he's turning to challenge a Bobasi. As a Bobasi takes a shot, and Elliott actually kind of pulls his foot back because he doesn't want to deflect it and make Blake miss it. And to Bobasi's credit, it was a well taken shot, low side netting. Blake did make a sprawl, but he couldn't quite get there far enough to knock the ball out.
Yeah, it was a well constructed goal. The actual shot itself was a little soft, but it was just so far right. There was no way Blake was going to really get a finger on it. I like to think they scored in that Union timeframe window. I feel like we've been sitting on that goal in the first 15-minute slot for a while. So, as I was going through my notes from last week and I was scrolling down, it's just, 8th minute goal. It's like, oh yeah, but this time it's not for the Union. It's for San Jose.
Well, that said, the Union did score within the first 20 minutes.
They did get in there. Yes, they did. They did come in.
Because once again, the Union still does show their resiliency and their, back and forth going after it. They get a corner kick. Kai Wagner puts a ball into just outside the 6-yard box, and somehow Damian Lowe ends up totally on his own, completely square to the goal. makes a nice easy jump and powers a header past Danielle. I mean, Danielle did get a hand to it, but it was just too much pace from the corner and then Lowe's head, and he just fires it home in like the 17th minute.
Yeah, it was well, it was Lowe's first goal for the Union. He kind of muscled his way amongst the defenders to give himself a little room, and he made that space and got up and got his head to the ball. Right before that corner kick, we noticed you could hear, because I guess the fans there didn't think the ball when it went out should have been a corner kick, right? It should have been a goal kick. And we started getting the typical chants of "Fu ref." Had a nice kind of a home game feel at that point. So maybe San Jose is the Philly of the West. Anyway,
I did have a quick question. Just mentioning Abobasi and his goal earlier, he had that like thing wrapped around his neck. Like, what was that?
Yeah, I just was doing a little research on that, and it is actually, apparently he had a really bad concussion in 2020, and it ended his season. Nice. And so he now wears this. It's called a Q collar. It's approved by the FDA. It's I'm going reading here clearly, applies compressive force to the neck and increases blood volume in order to reduce brain movement within the cranial space, which can occur due to repetitive impacts to the head.
So it's sort of like a blood pressure cuff that keeps blood in the head, like you said, the cranium.
Yeah, so to wear that around your neck, one wonders what that feels like. But so FDA does say it does not replace helmets or any kind of padding, but should be used with other protective sports equipment, since there isn't really any of that in soccer. I guess he's using it on its own, but yeah, that is what it's for. Because I was wondering the same thing. It reminded me, when I just saw it without knowing, it reminded me of like the cooling devices.
That's what I thought it was.
Yeah,
and I actually thought I saw like a droplet of water on it, but I thought, well, why would he be able to wear that and other people wouldn't? Because it seems like everybody should have those, but that explains a lot. So yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Okay, that's useful tidbit of information that I had not seen anywhere else. That's interesting. I'm also curious as to how effective what it is. I mean, obviously the FDA approves it, so I can see that. If you put pressure on the veins, bringing blood back to the heart, then you would build up blood volume in the head. But that's an interesting approach to it. Certainly respect the man for wanting to avoid having any more concussions. Don't want to have another career cut short like Taylor Twelman's was. And Bobasi's a good player. Respect to him for it for sure. But I was just curious what that was. But it was good to see Damian Lowe get ahead to the ball and get it leveled. But then ashamed to see him go down and about 6-7 minutes later and have to get subbed off.
I had visions of Josie Altidore in the World Cup, that first game when he himself pulled up holding his hamstring and then he was out. And did we find out what that was?
I listened to the post-game press conference, but Jim didn't have any information as to what happened. Hopefully it's nothing serious. It will be interesting to see if Jim might consider rolling out the 3-5-2 with Brendan Craig, though, because Craig apparently did a really good job in the World Cup. Now that would mean that their backup center back would then be Odata, who has never seen some time for the Union. I'm not even sure if he's played for the Union too. Probably has, or if he'll switch more fully to the 4-4-2. Hopefully, by the time they have their next game, Bedoya will be back, and it will be a moot point.
Yeah, exactly.
He'll be able to roll out the 4-4-2 with Craig as his backup center back, and still be able to go. So 24 minutes in, they switch from the 3-5-2 back to the 4-4-2. McGlynn gets back on the field for the first time since what was the game that they held him, that they got the dispensation for him to play? Was that Colorado, I think, before the World Cup? And he was certainly, instrumental in orchestrating a bunch of Union attacks. His foot's still nice. What's the phrase? Cultured, finding lots of open space for the Union players to run onto. And one of the frustrating parts about this game is, as good as Danielle played, the Union just seemed to just want to miss the ball. I mean, Carranza had that sitter right before halftime where who was it that made the cutback? Was that Bueno made a cutback pass to Carranza running into the box. He was all alone, nobody within 3 yards of him, and he just totally put it over the net from like 15 yards out. Let me be clear, it's something that happens to everybody to put it over off target like that. But when you got a guy who's as hot as Carranza has been, just to put it on frame, it would have been an easy goal.
Yeah, those were a little frustrating to watch.
It got worse too, because I remember in the second half they actually flashed up the expected goals counts.
Oh, really?
And at that point it was 1-1, and the expected goals for San Jose was like 0.6. The expected goals for the Union was 1.4. We had so many shots. Going into halftime would have been a huge difference to be up 2-1 rather than tied 1-1. Because the Union would have been ahead, San Jose would have had a chase, it would have been playing more into the Union's hand, but that's not the case. So they come back from halftime 1-1 game, and teams are it's active. It was an entertaining game.
I think related to that, Montero playing for San Jose. So first, I didn't realize this is actually his second year with San Jose. I didn't realize he's been off the team for that long. But he was just hustling that entire
everywhere.
Game. He was going after that ball, and I like what the team's doing. And I mean, who am I to really have a judgment about what should and shouldn't happen on the field? But I liked and still like Montero, so it was great seeing him play the way he plays. I'm not happy with the final result of the game, but it was nice seeing him out there just stepping to every ball he was getting. Between Harriel and Bueno, he was just getting knocked around the field, and he still has it, in my opinion. He still has it. So hey, congrats to San Jose for locking.
I hope he's happy out there. I know that was part of his concern here in Philadelphia, and he certainly seems to be embracing being part of that team. And he was part of the third goal in this game too. There was a turnover deep in the Union part of the field. Went through a couple of San Jose players, and then they found this left back streaking up the field, 20 yards out or so, and they made a nice pass. He takes a touch late, out in front of him, and before the Union defense can close him down, he just rips a shot from outside about 22 yards out, top right corner, and Blake just has to watch it go past. It was, as the one announcer called it was a laser. It was just beautiful. Like, if that doesn't get considered for a goal of the week or not win goal of the week, well, to be fair, it's probably not going to win the goal of the week, because I believe Zella Ryan scored one from half field. So
that's gonna be
any other week, it would probably win goal of the week, because it was so well struck.
Yeah, it was.
From a left back, you do not expect that. It was, respected. I think his name was Trouco or something like that.
At least that's how they're pronouncing it.
Peruvian. Shout out to our friend Mario.
If that first goal against the Union was pretty unstoppable, this one was absolutely impossible. I mean, there's no way. I mean, I know Blake can can kind of bend the curvature of space-time to affect gravity to a certain extent, but it was even beyond his superpowers.
I just couldn't even tell where it came from. I mean, I was watching, and it all of a sudden just almost seemed like someone just threw it into the net.
Yeah.
With extreme speed.
Yeah, I mean, even throughout this game, right, when the Union were level, and then now they're trailing. I mean, this is maybe poor compensation, but it did feel like the Union were ratcheting up the pressure then. Like they were, it's kind of pressure that had been great, 15 minutes earlier, but they were not, I don't say they weren't panicking, but they were
pushing.
They were dialing up the pressure. Absolutely.
I mean, even Curtin subs. Yep. He put in Donovan, he put in Torres. He was looking to generate attacking pressure and try to get something out of this game.
Yeah.
I mean, he knew they were going to have a 10-day wait before the next game, so I'm sure he was thinking, I want to make sure that we go out on a high note as best we can.
Yeah. I mean, the Union did a good job of keeping the ball on San Jose's side of the field for like the last, 15 minutes. They just kept circling like sharks. They just kept wailing away, but just, San Jose just kept clearing the ball to the midfield.
Yeah. Well, but by the end, I thought if there had, it's what's the joke about, you don't lose, you just run out of time.
Yeah.
So I really felt like they were starting to flag. It really looked like they were starting to flag.
Who's they?
Sorry, the other team, San Jose Earthquakes. Yeah, I thought they were starting to flag, and if we had a little bit more time, they would have. It kind of looked like us in the older days when the conditioning wasn't always there, and bench wasn't always as deep, and can still happen now depending on what's going on. But it really looked like they were flagging.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the time was against us, and the referee blew the whistle, ended the Union's 9-game unbeaten streak.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Fortunately, the Union stayed in third. The other teams around them didn't jump too far away.
Yeah.
Cincinnati is ahead by 10 points now. Nashville's up by 2, and now the Union are tied with New England with 30 points.
Yeah.
Union still have the edge on other tiebreakers, so they're technically in third in the East. But yeah, so not quite the finish we want. Although Eric, it looks like you did predict the right score line, although you had the teams reversed.
Yeah, well, I guess that gets you like half a point. I don't know.
Christie's score line finally came up.
Yeah, just not in the right direction.
Not the right direction.
That's right.
It's interesting. I was looking at the stats from the MLS site, so I don't know how they were reported on the broadcast, but in some respects, like on paper, just looking at these numbers, and if I didn't tell you the score and I asked you who won this game, it'd be like, oh yeah, the Union won, because there was actually some atypical Union stats that were put up. So first off,
they had a higher possession rate.
Yeah, right. When we were really putting on the pressure there in the second half, we wound up getting the majority of possession in the game. So roughly, what was that, 48 to 52%. So Union had about 52%, a little bit more. We outshot San Jose 18-10. We outshot the goal on shots on goals 7-2. I didn't realize that the keeper was that busy, but there were some close calls there in front of the goal and stuff like that.
McGlynn had that beautiful shot towards the end of the game that looked like it was going to go into the upper corner, and he got a hand to it.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Carranza had a couple wide shots. Another stat we usually don't lead on: total passes and passing accuracy. Usually we have the lower value, but we had the larger value on that one. So that was like, I was looking through these numbers, I'm thinking, like, if you didn't tell me that we lost 2-1, it'd be like majority possession, most shots on goal, most shots blocked, most total passes, most higher passing accuracy, more corners, 6-1 on the corners. More crosses. more tackles won, right? It's like, oh yeah, we probably won this game. No, we lost 2-1. We did win on the number of fouls, so a little bit of a palindrome, right? 12-21. So
21-12.
21-12. Yeah, so I was anyway. That was kind of
So
interesting.
it wasn't so much that the Union played poorly; they just didn't play well enough, and they didn't finish. You know,
Yeah,
it was
it was the
really
finish. It was the finish.
yeah,
You
it
know?
was. It just once again, it was the Union. Just they're I don't know if their scoring boots were in the luggage that got left behind with the Union's winning streak or an unbeaten streak, but yeah, just could not get their target. You know, hit the target when they needed to.
Yeah, I think the Union strategy was written by M. Night Shyamalan. Like the first 90% was great. It was that last 10% that fell apart.
All right, so moving on. Not a whole lot of Union related news except that Wrexham is coming to town.
Every day, things are getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So they're coming to play Union 2.
End of July.
End of July.
28th or something like that.
That I'll be honest, that might be a fun game to go watch, you know. Yeah,
I do think it's interesting they're playing Union 2.
Yeah, why do you think that?
Well, because they're 4th division in England.
Yeah.
Plus the Union probably are, I don't remember exactly what their schedule is like. I'm not sure if it's conducive for them to be playing what is essentially a preseason game for Wrexham.
Yeah.
With the congestion of scheduled games that the main Union team has, makes sense for them to roll out Union 2. Now, I would expect that it's going to be Union 2 or Union 1.5, maybe, where they'll probably play some of their lesser starters, maybe like some of the guys who don't start every game might play in that game against Wrexham.
Yeah.
I assumed it was just scheduling overall, but definitely the division could play into it.
I wonder and I hope that Wrexham will play with their Eagles green jerseys. I think that would be pretty cool. To be honest, if they were selling them at the stadium, I could see people buying them, which is such a great, I think, decision to have that as their alternate jerseys, the Eagles green.
I think cool. They might have retired those, sadly, because I'm not sure how well they played in Wales. I think they might have caused some confusion.
Oh, gotcha.
but yeah.
So the 28th is 2 days after the Union play Carataro in the Leagues Cup.
Okay.
So,
oh Lord.
It could be that, whoever the Union don't play in that game, they'll play in the Union 2 game against Wrexham.
All right.
So, hopefully they'll just roll out a whole set of secondary players for the Leagues Cup and just get out of that and then go play their starters against Wrexham and make it a fun party down at the Subaru Park.
That would be a lot more fun than Leagues Cup.
Yeah.
Yep. Nope.
Which I guess Leagues Cup, I don't know if you want to jump in the Leagues Cup, that starts on the 21st.
And not really.
Yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. No, I did want to bring up the one bit of news when I was looking at the team in the match day. I saw that Brendan Burke was named coach of the match day, which surprised me since he's not actually a head coach. He was filling in for Ben Olsen, who apparently got what's it called? He was yellow carded or red carded from coaching the Houston Dynamo against LAFC. And Brendan Burke came in, and apparently Houston shellacked LAFC this weekend and earned Brendan the coach of the match day. Which, he used to coach for different Union youth teams. I thought he was interesting coach. I remember reading articles, interviews with him. He seemed really interesting and came up through the Union coaching ranks. I was hoping he'd stick around, but things didn't work out. And now he's an assistant down in Houston. Gets a chance to step up for a game and wins coach of the match day. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah. Two things to celebrate. Former Union coach winning a award, and LAFC loses the game.
And if you do want to talk anything about Leagues Cup, go ahead. I'm kind of sick of it at this point.
No, that was it. I was big. And don't forget, Leagues Cup starts July 21st. That's all I got to say.
I'd talk about Women's World Cup before I'd
talk
about Leagues Cup, but it's just me. We all know how I feel about side tournaments.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to change it to I don't know. We'll have to find another name or another lead in for the podcast during Leagues Cup, just to talk Women's World Cup, because I agree, I'm much more interested in that than in the Leagues Cup. It's really interesting. Like, I have not heard any podcasts that really seem excited about the Leagues Cup. They're all just like, yeah, this is a money grab. Why are we doing it?
Yeah. That's their tagline. Leagues Cup. Why?
Let's just leave that right there. That was perfect. All right. Yeah, I mean, other than that, as far as Union news, Bedoya is still out. Definitely starting to get a little concerned. What was supposed to be mild is kept him out this long. Granted, why rush him back when we've got a break? Let him heal up completely. Hopefully he'll be back before. So the Union, when they get back after this break, they've got 6 games between the 21st of June and the 15th of July before their break for Leagues Cup.
Wow, so 6 games.
Okay. They're going to be busy in those couple of weeks, and 4 of them are away. 2 of them are at home. One is against Miami, and the other is against New York at NYCFC. And they're also playing Nashville and LA in that group, as well as Atlanta and Orlando away. So it's going to be a lot of games and some tough ones in that group. Now, fortunately, Philly's playing at home against Miami before the big, switches, big mix-ups.
But Allie luckily is well enough to appear on the Union's social doing what appears to be a pretty solid impersonation of Jim Curtin. So if you haven't seen that, I would recommend looking into it.
We should probably repost that or share it or what have you.
I can go ahead and do that, but so hopefully that's a good sign. Hopefully it was recorded recently. So.
Yeah, hopefully. Once again, credit, thank you to the social media team from the Union. They're doing a great job this season.
Yeah, they are.
Do we want to talk Messi? I brought up Miami. Nobody mentioned anything. Do we even want to talk about it?
It's
a huge elephant in the room, but I'm fine ignoring it.
No, but it's the elephant everybody's already talking about. So there's nothing new to talk about. This is pretty huge. It's kind of funny. It'll be interesting to see, after a year from now or whatever, as the dust settles, just, how seismic is this shift? I've heard that phrase a couple times. But a couple of the stats that I found, I thought were kind of just fun, and these aren't ones that I uncovered. I just basically plagiarizing from other people uncovering, but how the New York Times sports section had their whole front page of that section was all about Messi.
Wow.
And the whole NBA finals and the Stanley Cup were put onto page 2. So that's just a sense of the magnitude of the attention nationally and worldwide that's gonna fall on our league, right? But the fun one was the Inter Miami Instagram account. It had so many posts, and it had 1 million followers, and literally one more post later, which was about Messi, they gained over 4 million followers in one post about Messi coming.
That's amazing.
Yeah, Messi, goes to a supermarket and buys something, and the whole world knows about it. So the fact that this is going on here in our little league is, I don't know, it's
seismic.
It's seismic. Yeah. It's really, it's literally the average. I love our league. It's great and all that. So I'm not trying to put it down, but it's like some just regular working Joe just won $1 million. What's going to happen, right? It's we just got arguably one of the greatest players to ever play soccer, football, whatever, in our league. Wow. Yeah. Okay. It's
Yeah,
this is gonna be something.
It is, and I hope he comes and I hope he plays. I mean, the man just won a World Cup.
Yep.
Yeah, we're 9 months out from him winning a World Cup with Argentina, and like that's he's now playing in MLS.
Yeah.
Now he's playing in Miami for whatever reason, and there's certainly some fun conspiracy theories as to how that happens and how suddenly Phil Neville loses the job there, ends up in Canada, and, who's coming back to coach him, and there was some weird. I think that what was it? There was a trade earlier this year where like Miami shipped off like 1 or 2 players, got 2 players back and a huge amount of money. And suddenly now they're getting messy. And it's like, wait a second, this doesn't seem quite right.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. And it would be nice if one of these boondoggles would occasionally happen for the Union.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Messi's a great player, and I think it brings a lot of potential to the league, right? Well, hopefully it'll all go for good. With that said, I hope when he comes to Philly with Miami, we absolutely destroy him.
I would love to see what Martinez would do against him.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I'd like to think that the Union didn't win MLS Cup last year because we're going to face Miami. I guess no, we can't face Miami. They're in our league. Never mind. I would say we'd face them in the MLS Cup and we would beat them. So it's like, yeah, we won the cup when we were facing a team that had Messi. So
at the risk of sounding like Alexi Lawless, and I almost feel like I need to spit in the floor after saying that, yeah, exactly. But I do remember years ago he had a podcast with Taylor Twellman, and he
big head, redhead.
Yep, exactly. And there's he made a really good point that just because you have one good player on a team does not mean that you're going to win.
Yep.
And also, even just if you have multiple good players on a team. Now I know Messi's beyond good, etc. But they have to gel and be a team.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. I'm not saying, oh, nothing's going to happen. This is nothing. I mean, that would be foolish, but it'll be interesting to see what actually does happen going forward.
Yeah, and there's a theory in particular around MLS that players that come in the mid-season window always take a year to really hit their stride. So they don't usually do it the year they come in. I mean, even Daniel Gazdag, last year was his first full year with the Union. Yeah. And he was an MLS MVP runner-up. It takes a year. It takes some time for them to settle in. So, yeah, I would agree. I don't think Messi's going to turn things around and Miami's going to suddenly be a favorite to win the MLS Cup.
Yeah.
But I do think it's going to be more like David Beckham. David Beckham, as good of a player as he was, what it was more important was about it changed the salary structure for the MLS. It changed the appeal of MLS for players outside of the United States to consider coming here and playing. That's why we have 3 designated players allowed for each team. That's why we have general and targeted allocation money structures as they have for the team build. It's because of players like David Beckham and Robbie Keane, Roy Keane, the bunch of other, Thierry Henry, a bunch of players that with big names come over here and change the way we play. The game is played here, and I think Messi is going to be the next paradigm of that. I think Eric was right. It's going to take a couple of years to really be able to look back and see the influence that he's had. The other thing that in particular about Messi that I'm most interested in is how much money is he going to make off of his sponsorship with Apple. I've heard something crazy, like basically for every MLS season plus subscriber that they get from like here on out for the next few years, he's going to get some percentage of that sign up fund.
Wow.
So yeah, it's going to be huge because it's worldwide. Apple serves this up worldwide. There's 7-8 billion people on the planet, and a lot of them are going to be buying MLS season passes because Messi's playing here, and they'll be able to watch him everywhere he plays.
So this is all a big. This is an Apple conspiracy to save their failing MLS bid. Okay, sounds great.
That'd be awesome.
Go team.
Yeah, the next time we call up Apple with tech support, it's actually Lionel Messi on the other line. It's like, wait a minute.
It better be if I need tech support for the No, that's awesome.
I know. I heard during some interview between some talking heads in soccer and the soccer world, basically from this point forward for MLS, this will be before Messi and after Messi. And I'm like, I don't want to build this up too much, but I think
it's going to be a BM or an AM.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Lord.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't want to build up too much. I don't want to give the guy too much credit, but I think there's, kind of something to that. But with that said, I think most of us too are like, I am still very proud that the union have this kind of a self-reliant structure. Like we just do everything or do as much as we can in-house. It's like we don't necessarily have to buy our players, we'll grow our players. I think a good team's going to have the full spectrum, right, of bringing in the players like we do, like bringing in Martinez, bringing in Gazdag, like bringing in the triangle of death. But with that said, I am proud of kind of this idea that we kind of have a grassroots program in place.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping that this doesn't return us to being the retirement home for the European leagues, because I don't think it will. But I didn't, I know there were positive elements to that, but it was a bit tiring to be viewed that way.
Yeah.
And I with the advent of the youth academies, especially ours, I think it's we've grown as a league, and I feel like that could be a step backwards.
Well, do you think it's going to bring more money into the total player costs? Basically, teams are going to have more money now, or the owners are going to be more willing to put more money into their player pool.
I'm afraid it's going to squeeze more money out of the fans, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's a concern, right?
Well, I mean, it's a salary cap based league. There is a limit to how much allocation money each team has to spend. Yes, they each have 3 designated players that the owners can spend whatever they want for them. But other than those 3, there's a lot of rules around that. I mean, there's also the young designated players, and there's homegrown rules. So like Eric was saying, we have the union, they raised a lot of their own players, so they fall under the homegrown rules, which allow them to be paid slightly differently than others. But I just wonder, having a player like Messi come in with is a salary structure that he's going to get, I hope means that we're going to see, on average, player pay go up, which hopefully would then help bring more talent to MLS.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of like when any fortune falls in someone's lap, right? You can always be squandered away, right? So this is a big opportunity, and as the years tick by, and depending on what the league does with the presence of Messi running around on our fields, it will. I got to imagine a lot of other world-class players are going to, give MLS more consideration then for their future plans. Now, how does that trickle down, right, to us fans in the seats and stuff like that? I don't know. I don't know.
Well, seeing as how they just keep adding 20 and 30 more games per year, they don't have to increase per game cost. They can just add more
increase
games.
The number of games, right? We just got to increase productivity out of our workers. Yeah. So anyway, it's exciting.
Well, I don't think any of us can really predict what will happen. I mean, you could pull a Lampard and play a couple times and bail.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm sure that there's clauses all around.
Sorry, I don't mean Lampard. I mean Gerrard, don't I?
No, Lampard.
No, it was Lampard.
That was Lampard.
NYCFC.
No, but there was someone who came for a hot minute and left.
Well, Gerard
Bad.
played for LA for, I don't know how long he played, and Pirlo went to New York City as well.
I think it was Gerard who came and then left immediately. And first, I always got Gerard and Lampard confused.
Yeah, I always juxtapose this too. Also,
if next to each other, I wouldn't. But
yeah,
regardless, anyway.
So we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. Exciting times, I guess. Yeah, interesting times.
Like the old Asian curse, right? May you live in interesting times. That's all the news that we've got right now for this week. The Union are off until the 21st. So we're planning on recording again on the 20th. So we don't really have any Union games to discuss to end this episode.
Yeah, no homework. Yay.
A free night. Everybody gets a day to relax, or an episode to relax. So we will be back next Tuesday. We'll talk about the upcoming Union games on the 21st and the 24th. We'll probably talk a little bit of the Gold Cup and any Union news that happens between now and then.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have anything else for this week?
Nope.
All right. So once again, you can find us on our website, amorephillyunion.com. You can email us at pod@amorephillyunion.com. Twitter, we are amorephillyu. Instagram and YouTube, amorephillyunion. And you can get our podcast wherever you download yours: Google, Apple, Spotify, whatever system you use.
Mm-hmm.
Please subscribe, like, comment, and let people know that whether or not you're enjoying it, and see if we can get our numbers up to help us help the you.
Yeah, drop us a line, and I don't know, depending on what you got to say, we might share it and talk about it.
Yeah, if you know anybody in the other states that haven't yet downloaded us, or any of the countries that haven't yet downloaded us, feel free to, have them download so we can get excited about the map growing.
Yeah, tell your cousin in North Dakota to tune in.
There you go. So thanks everybody for tuning in for another episode of A More Philly Union. We're your hosts. I'm Paul.
I'm C.
And I'm E.
Go
Union.
Union. Our bag policy supposedly comes from MLS.
Oh, okay.
I called today and I asked, and Lily's like, I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's really confusing on the website. We've asked MLB to change the wording so many times and they just haven't done it. And she's like, so here are the rules. First of all, your bag has to be cute. Secondly, I just wanted to talk to her the rest of the afternoon. I'm like, just keep going.